Good morning, Twig. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Tremendous so far, but it's early.
Yeah. Don't rush into anything, Phil.
No, believe me, it's been a day already. So,
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm a couple hours in by now, so.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm just having coffee.
Yeah, well, I'm still having coffee.
You know what? For some reason, my camera is not working. Hold on. Oh, there we go. I think. Did it turn on?
No, I just see a black screen where you are, but I don't know where everybody is. It's 9 o'clock and nobody's on but me and you. And is that Jennifer?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, good morning.
So you've been given the assignment of trying to fill in all the blanks for us?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, well, yeah. So
it's been good, but it's been a lot because I'm doing my other job. So
I'm sure it has been a lot. And so and I sent before we even start, which we can't start until I get more people, but
right.
I sent you a note the other day. There was somebody who passed the exam, reportedly passed the exam, met all the qualifications, and needs to get licensed, but she's not on the agenda. Did you?
That I know that case has been, or that lady's been reaching out to licensing, and they told me not to. They're taking care of it.
Okay,
yeah, well,
that's fine.
Yeah. So I haven't heard anything else about it.
Okay, so I'm just gonna keep. I'm not even gonna bring it up then. So just if you need anything from me or anybody does, just have them reach out to me. But I know that till we get, hopefully at some point in the near future, we're going to get a permanent person. So,
Right.
yeah. So,
I have a Gina here. Is she supposed to be?
yes, you can let Gina in. She's the
Okay, perfect.
executive director of AI Connecticut.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm trying to figure everything out, so I
Yeah,
appreciate
that's
that.
fine. So, morning, Julia.
Good morning.
Sorry about that.
It's all right.
There you go. Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
good morning.
Morning,
Good
Gina.
morning, Gina.
Morning, Angela. Gina, just really quickly, we haven't started the meeting, so I'll just tell you that I've reached out to a few more people this morning to follow up on those certificates. I'm not sure really where I'm getting it, if I'm getting any progress yet, but I did talk to Bob. He connected me. He asked me to contact Mike Elliott. I reached out to Mike Elliott this morning. And so I'm working on, the seal is someplace in that building. Good morning, Angela. The seal is someplace in the building. Nobody really knows where it is apparently, and nobody's gotten back to me on the commissioner. So, Jennifer, do you know, is Michelle still the commissioner or is she still actually there?
Yes, she is.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to get some
No,
certificates
amen.
signed by her.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't think she was leaving until more towards the end of the quarter, first quarter. That's what I understood. That's why there's been no announcement of a new commissioner yet. I asked our lobbyists. That's why I wanted to know too.
Yeah,
Um,
and I asked 3 people and nobody had an answer for me. So
Yeah, Phil, so what we'll do is what I said when we talked yesterday.
That's fine.
We'll just have you sign them for the people that are attending the tour that we're going to present to them there so we could take pictures and everything. We'll do that. And then I'll take them back and then we'll work out everything else. And all the other ones that we're mailing out, then we'll just have to wait until they're signed and stamped.
that's fine. So I'll check in with you after this meeting or first thing Monday morning and tell you what time I'm going to come up there.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. I think everybody's on now. Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to call to order the January 20th meeting of the January 20th, 2023 meeting of the Architectural Licensing Board. So the first item, I'm going to share the agenda actually. So the first item on the agenda was call order. So the previous minutes, has everybody had a chance to review the minutes of November 18th, and can I get a motion to approve them? Someone, please.
I move to
Oh,
approve.
sorry.
Loran.
I was muted.
All right, so Twig and Loran. Any comments, corrections? Seeing none, can I get a vote? All in favor, say, raise your hand.
Aye.
It's easier for me to say. Okay.
Aye.
Okay. Anybody opposed? No. All right, so it's 5-0. Concerns of or comments of any person present today? Gina, do you have anything? No. Okay, moving on. Jennifer, do you know, I had asked, and I think you responded to me about Paulette. Do you know if she's coming on this morning?
Yes, I just let her in. So
Okay,
she's
great.
here. Yep.
Okay. So, and everybody should have the report. I can put it up on here. So, good morning, Paulette. How are you today?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great so far. As I
Good
said
to
before,
see
it's early.
everybody.
It's early. So I'm just going to cut to the chase here. I mean, here's the report that we have. And as you can see on this, if you can see the screen, there's, and I can enlarge it. It's, you know, there's items on here that are from 2018, 2018, 2018, and they're all illegal. So we're trying to find out, like, how could something be illegal for literally almost 5 years, and why is it taking so long?
So I'm going to take full responsibility for this. So I started in 2017 at DCP, and the only person responsible for all of OCPRO trades. So in terms of prioritizing my cases, I focused on the cases where there was actual consumer harm. And those are the cases that I worked on initially. So these cases, and so when I went through the cases and triaged them, these cases that Cynthia's now working through were cases where there are allegations of advertising as an architect, but no indication that there was actually work done as an architect. And so that's how I work. That's how I worked my cases at the time.
Okay, so when do you think that we will be able to get some of these closed out, and going forward, will quick cases be able to get closed out more quickly?
So as you know, so the board got trained for hearings
Yes.
because I think a couple of these might be going to hearing before the board. And then some of them, Cynthia had worked on settlements, so some of them have closed, not the ones on this list, but there were others that had closed. So as soon as these go, before the board is hearings, if they don't settle, then they'll be closed out after there's a final decision in order.
Okay, and so just so I make sure that I'm correct in this statement, am I right that the process is the complaint comes to you guys vet through it, you decide if it needs to go to a hearing, and then you guys just bring the hearing to the board? Am I correct?
Correct. Yeah. In a nutshell, that's it.
Okay, well, I like nutshells. Okay. Anybody have any questions? I have one more thing before you get off after we finish this. Does
Sure.
anybody else have any questions or comments on this for Paulette? Okay. All right, Paulette, I appreciate your help on that. I'm going to bring up something that I'm not sure I can or can't, but I'm going to anyway. I sent you an email, I think late last night or early this morning, and it has to do with Michael Donegan, who I'm sure you're familiar with. If we can't talk about it now, that's fine, but he sent an email to everybody on the board, which pissed me off to no end. And it also, I think, borders on illegal, because we can't, as a board, that constitutes our full board. And then it becomes almost a meeting. So I've asked my board to not respond at all to him on any way. And I've separately asked him not to communicate directly with us. If he sent me, as you might know, he sent me a binder that's literally 3 inches thick that has every document about his case for the last 3 years. So I just need some guidance from you, aside from just telling him not to deal with me and deal with you. What guidance should I give him? He's obviously looking to get a hearing before the board. So can you give us a little information? And if you can't say anything about it, that's fine.
No.
If we shouldn't.
As you can see, his case is not on the list. His case was
I know that.
closed, and I explained it to him. He's not
Well,
happy
by the way,
about
we
it.
can't see that because we don't know the names on the list, right? So.
Right. So if he was the complainant, I don't know if they list the complainant on this, but his case was closed last year or before that. And we've shared emails with him explaining to him why the case was closed. And like consumers, when a case is not closed in their favor, they're unhappy. So he's been unhappy, but he's not brought it forth to us any new information that would warrant us reopening the case.
Okay.
So you can just let him know that, just send it back to us.
I sent it to you last night.
The case is closed. Yeah, the case is closed.
I will send him an email today that tells him that and copy you on it.
Yeah, and he understands that. And so that's why he's reaching out to the board and not to me, because he and I have already communicated about the fact that his case is closed and the reasons why the case was closed.
Right. And he's, I think, under the misconception that he can just reach out to us and have us have a hearing for him, but that's simply not true. So.
Exactly. And I have also told him many times not to email the full board, but I guess I'm going to have to remind him. I know you have, but maybe I need to also remind him.
Now, he did acknowledge my email and did say to me that he wouldn't do it anymore, but we both know, because I know Gina's also told him that he doesn't always listen to what we tell him.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm confused.
Can I ask a question?
When did he email all of us?
Yesterday.
Yesterday.
I don't have an email from him.
No.
All right, well, that's good. So don't
You
worry
weren't
about
on
it.
it, Twig.
Oh, she
All right,
wasn't on
good.
it?
Okay.
No, he found all the email addresses. He asked me for yours. I denied it.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you, Gina.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, how did he get our emails? They're not up on the website. Like, I mean, it's just kind of creepy. Like all of a sudden he knows my email. Like that's weird, because that specific email that I use for the board it's not on the internet anywhere. So like, I'm really creeped out as to how he found my email.
And Gina and Angela, that's a great question. That's what Gina and I were trying to figure out yesterday, because he didn't get it from either of us. And so I don't know that answer, because I've tried to get people's emails and I can't get them. And so I have no idea how he got them, honestly, especially if that's the one. Like he could obviously get the one where you work, but I'm not sure how he got them.
Maybe through the association, the local association. I don't know either.
Well, no, the
No,
association would be
specific
Gina.
email I have that I use for this
Ah,
board, I
okay.
don't have
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know. But you know, it's internet world. You can find anything.
Almost. That's true, but
Can I ask
No.
a question?
yes.
Does he have an appeal process after you guys render a decision, which he's obviously unhappy with?
No, because we don't represent complainants, individual complainants.
No, I know you don't, but does he have an appeal process? Is there a way for him to take this anywhere else?
Oh yeah, if he wanted to, and I've told him, you know, if he believes that there is some violation of law, he can get a private attorney and take the matter to court. So
As an administrative appeal?
no, not administrative, to Superior Court, which is not administrative, a different
Okay.
form. Go to court. Yeah, yeah. So he's been advised of all these different things, but yeah, he's just not happy.
Okay.
I have a question as well.
Go ahead, Angela.
So it appeared to me from what was after the case was closed, we did have a little bit of information on that spreadsheet. And it appeared to me that perhaps the complaint was never filed in the right manner in the first place, because it was like complaining against an architect, but it's not really under the architect jurisdiction or something like that, because it's a dual practice or whatever. So wouldn't the advice be for just to start over and under another category or something?
No, there wouldn't, because so it was a joint practice, but he was quite certain that it was violations of the architectural licensing laws. And you can't explain it to him in any way where he understood me, or, you know, when a person has made up their mind, I guess he's made up his mind that this is the way it is. And we've explained it completely and thoroughly, I believe. But I think he's just unhappy with the outcome, and that happens. And it's okay that he's unhappy with it, but there isn't anything more that we can do. And if he has new information, we are happy to open up the case if it's new information that's where there's merit to it for the investigations unit to go back and investigate. But he's not provided that.
All right. So
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't put it back on this as just an individual being unhappy. I mean, I think, I don't know. I believe there's probably some other advice we can give him in terms of how to file more appropriately.
Well, again, we have given him the right information about the case, and we've given him the referral, because typically, again, we do not represent individual complainants. So if they believe that they have a cause, and again, there is no merit to bring it through this administrative forum. If an individual believes that they have a case or some violation of law, they need to go to a private attorney and get advice from a private attorney, because I cannot give them that advice because I don't represent them. And that's what I tell every single complainant who comes across, comes to me and is seeking the same kind of thing. I need a remedy. I need a remedy. Something must be wrong. I feel I'm wrong. There must be a remedy. And there's not always a remedy under the law. That's just the reality.
Right, because like if someone's looking for some sort of restitution, yeah, that's a private case that they would want to bring. But I think in the case where someone's complaining to the state, to DCP, it's a matter of whether that firm they're complaining about or individual they're complaining about should still be licensed to practice, right? That's our thing, right? It's licensure. So I don't know if I'm going too far with this discussion, but I'm curious as to why all the evidence provided would still find the group or individual still able to practice and be licensed.
Well,
Because
so
based on our findings and based on our licensing laws, there was no violation of our licensing laws.
I'm
You
Angela.
can't, just because a person provides all this information, it doesn't mean that the information that they're providing substantiates violations of our laws.
And would the board be able to see, I mean, I know we just saw like the one line in the Excel sheet, but is the board allowed to see more detail in terms of what laws were investigated and why it, and the findings? Is that
Well, the
available
case is
to us, or
closed
are we
now.
not
The
allowed
case,
to see that?
I mean, the case is closed. So now that the case is closed.
See this book? Here it is right here.
Right. If,
I haven't opened it yet. I just got it a few days ago, but look, I'm happy and I'm sure I can share it
Right,
with
but is
whoever wants
that,
it,
is
but-
that just the
Oh, it's now
information from the
public
complainant, or is
information?
that, what I'm looking for is the information from DCP?
Oh, I think
If-
everything's in here.
Okay,
I would consider that an FOI, and I can provide you with the case because it's now closed. That's fine.
all right, and then my last question is, oh shoot, what was the last question? Oh, so I did read his email, even though we probably shouldn't have read it because it was addressed to all of us, well, not Twig. So he was saying something about how the board itself could call a hearing. I'm not educated on what the whole process is. That was not my understanding. My understanding is that, you know, a complaint comes in, it goes to investigations, and then it goes to legal if need be, and then that's where the hearing comes from. Is this person correct in that the board itself could call a hearing without, you know, legal agreeing on that?
Yeah, they're not correct. He's not correct.
Okay, so where would we find the process defined? Is that, I mean, you don't have to tell me now, but like, it'd be good to be educated on where that's all written as to
It's
what
under the Uniform
process-
Administrative Procedures Act,
Okay,
the UAPA,
okay,
and that sets forth, you know, what makes a contested case, etc.
okay,
And
great.
then
Yeah, and
there's
Angela, that
powers-
was also, I think, part of our training. Were you part of the training that we received?
Well, so I had training way back when I was on the board, appointed the board like 5-6 years ago, but then they used the wrong email for me for this last training they had a couple weeks ago. So I never even knew. And it's a shame because I wasn't even busy at the time. I had no
Yeah.
idea you guys were meeting for that training until
I mean, I
afterwards.
think-
when
I
Phil
think
was
I have
like,
a
where
P-
were you? And I'm like,
I know.
I never even knew about it.
And I apologize. I didn't check your email, but I think there's a PDF of that presentation I have. So if I do, I'll send it to you.
That'd be great. Thank you.
So-
That's
so
all my
those-
questions. Thank you.
So the lesson is somebody ought to give put Michael in charge of outreach to everybody because he can find Angela.
No, I don't suggest that.
No, I don't suggest that either. So, you know, all right.
Can I ask Paulette a question? This is
Of
Gina.
course. Yes, Gina.
Paulette, on the report, that when it says closed, at that point, can there be a reason added on like what or what the outcome was like the very top one where it says it was closed? Does it say website? Okay, so it does say. I didn't see that part of it. I just want to make because I know that we file complaints. And I'm not given the dates I'm not given the numbers of what the cases are. So then I also don't get a response back if someone has done, changed what we've requested. And that's why I just wanted to know in this
So
case.
right. So that's a question for investigations, and Gina has her hand up to answer that for you.
Go ahead, Janita.
Mr. Chairman, in response to Ms. Calabro's assertions, all complainants, and I have sent her copies of the letters from the department that we have sent, that we have received, that has the file numbers on it. When the complaint center receives it, there's an email response that goes out with the file number. When I assign it to the investigator to be investigated, the inspection aide or the investigator sends a letter to the complainant indicating this is the file number and this is who's investigating the complaint. The respondent gets a letter and a copy of the complaint to read and respond to. And if investigations closes it, the investigator is supposed to be sending a closure letter to the complainant with a copy of the responses. So I would need an email with a list of the complaints that you have not received the response on, so that I can go back to our records to look to find out why you did not get a closure letter if investigations closed it. If it's something we sent to legal, once we've sent a file to the legal department, the supervisors, the investigators, and the inspectors do not have any participation in that file until such time as the attorney assigned requests our appearance at a compliance meeting or for hearing preparation in preparation for presenting a formal administrative hearing in front of whether it's the architect board, engineers, landscape architects, home inspectors, electricians, plumbers, and so forth. So I know you have my email, so please email me what complaints you are interested in that you didn't get a file number for or anything like that, and I will look into it.
Okay, because I have things from 2019 and 2020 that I never received a response. And the 2018s that are sitting there, majority of them are the ones that we filed. So that's why I just wanted to confirm that. And I will send you the list, Janita. Thank you.
Yeah, no, but again, no, if it's something we investigate in investigations and we close it, the complainant, if we know the complainant, the anonymous person or Joe Citizen or Jane, Jane Doe, there's never going to be any notification to those people. But if we know who the complainant is and investigations closed it, the complainant is supposed to be getting a letter indicating we closed it, and you get the complainant, if it's you or anybody else, that we have a name and an email address or a mailing address, get a copy of what the respondent responded for your file for your personal records. Okay?
Okay.
That hasn't changed. So if there's still some out there that may have fallen through the cracks, please send me an email and I will look into it for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Chairman. You're welcome, Gina.
Okay, anything else for Paulette or Janita? Okay. Let's move on to the next item on the agenda then. Old business.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairperson, I'm going to go then if that's
Okay,
it for
thanks,
me.
Paulette. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you,
Yeah.
everybody. Be well.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Chairman and board members and guests, if you have no further questions from me, may I be excused?
Of course.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Old business. I'm not sure there's much to talk about the governance work group. I haven't seen the final, what I think is going to be the final resolution. I don't know if anybody else has seen it. Where obviously we'll have conversation in Hawaii about it, and by then we'll be able to see whatever the resolutions are. But I haven't. So unless anybody has any comments or conversation they want to have about it, I think go ahead, Twig.
I can give you a real quick update. I attended, and Julia was able to join after some technical difficulties, the pre-board meeting a week or so ago. And what NCARB said at that time is that they have looked at all the comments. They plan to discuss them today at their board meeting, discuss them further in Hawaii, and hopefully have a final approval for everybody to review in April with a draft resolution to be presented at the annual meeting in Tampa. So that's their plan right now. So you'll be hearing more in Hawaii.
Okay. Thank you, Twig. All right, so we'll get some opportunity to discuss it before it gets voted on in Tampa. So new business, we have a hardship waiver, which I'm not sure if everybody has seen this or not, but so there's a new form now that DCP has developed. If you haven't seen it, this is basically the form. Anybody who wants to submit to get a waiver or an extension on their continuing ed units submits this form. So I received this a week or so ago. I asked if I could if I could reach out to Philip and ask him some questions. I was told no, that it had to go through DCP. Jason Cohn, who was, I know, out of the office for a few days, reached out to him. As far as I know, unless Jennifer, you can tell me otherwise, we haven't heard back from him. But so we can review this. We can make a decision as a board to either vote on it, not vote on it, reject it, not reject it, or postpone it. But if you could just read it really quickly, but basically his hardship is for the past year and a half. I don't need to read it. You guys all know how to read English. My perspective on it is that, first of all, just because you weren't making money, if you lost commissions, that's not a good reason. Physical lectures, that's for sure not a good reason. And we all know that with COVID and everything else, it's easier than ever to get your continuing ed hours. You could literally sit at your dining room table every night and do continuing ed while you're eating dinner. So I don't have a good feeling about it. I wanted it. My questions to him were going to be, how many hours short are you? Number one. Number two, why did you wait till November? And by the way, we just received this now because of all the changeover that's been going on. Why did you wait to November to ask for an extension for something that was due really in April and your license was due in July? I checked DCP website this morning. It doesn't look like he's renewed his license. He says he didn't. Gina, I know you and I talked about this a little bit, but on the DCP website this morning, it says he's not renewed. So I'm not sure how that stands with AIA, but that's not our issue. Anyway, comments?
Yeah, I have some comments, Phil. So my comments are more about process. I think I know what I'm going to say as far as, getting the LUs. It's easy, it's free, and you just go online. But I have a concern on the process here, both on his part, but also I think he was probably hampered by, like you said, the lack of staff at the state. So he's saying, as a result, I was not able to renew my license. I infer that to be that he didn't feel like he could send in the check and say that he was renewing, and that's good for him, to be honest, because he couldn't check the box saying that he had done all the learning units. It's not DCP telling him he can't renew, right? Because I don't know what the DCP process is. My understanding is that it's an honor system, you have to check the box and then you get renewed, and that maybe DCP might do an audit similar to the way AIA does of random audits, right?
Correct.
So I'm all just kind of understanding. I just would like to know, is this gentleman, he declined to renew because he's being honorable, and it's gotten to this point both because of his delay and no response from DCP that we're only seeing this now in January. My fear is that now he's going to have a penalty to pay too for a late license, and I don't know, maybe that's justified. Yeah, like you said, what should have happened is he should have realized in April that he was short, and then applied for the waiver, because we did get some waivers last year.
Correct.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. So
Yes.
I think there's some process kind of weird things going on here. And I guess my recommendation would be that we find out, how many, like you said, how many he is short. I think typically on the AIA process, if it's your first violation and you're short, they just tell you to make it up by the time the next license cycle, in addition to doing next year's, right? So if he didn't do any LUs, he would have to do 2 years worth of LUs by the time it's up, which I guess is this coming April. Is that unreasonable that we're asking him to do 24 hours of video, free video in the next 3-4 months? I don't think so, but anyway, that would be my recommendation. And I guess because of the delay, I would like to know what the penalty is for a late license to understand whether that's reasonable to ask him that he would have to pay that as well.
Okay, so a few comments. Number one, I just want to clarify, we haven't given anybody a waiver. We've given people 6-month extensions. So we haven't given anybody a waiver where they couldn't, where they didn't have to do it. And there was a few even that if I'm remembering correctly, there was 1 or 2 that actually came to me directly from Bob, and we gave him the 6-month waiver. Nobody got more than a 6-month waiver. So by now, everybody should have submitted. I don't think it's unreasonable to say to him by the end of April, you need to do 2 years. And I don't know what the penalty, it's in the statute someplace, I think, and I don't think Jennifer probably knows the answer, but so probably nobody on the call has the answer of what the penalty is. But at the very least, he should pay the penalty for at least the first 6 months that he didn't renew the license, because it took him that long to even get in touch with us. But so I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just don't have a really warm and cozy feeling about it. I don't want to completely reject it and tell him if we reject it, it basically means you're never going to be licensed in Connecticut again. So that doesn't make any sense, right?
I think we need more information.
Well, that was my opinion from the beginning. So
Right.
I'm happy to go back to Jason Cohen, who's the one who contacted him, and say, all right, we need, because to the point of somebody got Angela's email, I couldn't get Philip's email. First of all, the state wouldn't give it to me, and second of all, I just didn't really spend a lot of time looking for it. And then I was told not to reach out to him directly. So, but I do think we need some more information. So my suggestion is that we go back to him and say, we can't make a decision on this, but we're going to need you, before you do renew your license, you're going to need to make up at least some of these CUs from last year. And by the time you renew your next license, you're going to need to do both years. And in the meantime, get us these answers. So I'm happy to do that. And we just postponed the decision until our March meeting.
But if you're not supposed to be reaching out to him.
Well, no, I'll reach out through DCP and ask them to reach out to him.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
so in the meantime, he can't practice architecture, right? I mean, I think
Well,
there's
that's
some
100%
imperativeness
true.
to this.
Well, there
Not a
is, but
license,
but
correct?
he hasn't had a license since last July. So he shouldn't be practicing anyway. I'm really drawing a blank on him for some reason. I think I know who he is, and I think he works for somebody, not for himself, in which case then it's probably not a huge issue for him. But I couldn't, I tried to
No,
find him. I couldn't.
he's listed as principal of his own firm, and he's
Oh,
been
is he?
that way for 30 years, so.
Oh, then it's not who I thought it was. So
And he referred to lost commissions, so didn't he?
Yeah.
Something?
Yeah, he did.
right.
Yeah,
So I
which
mean,
would
that's the
suggest
other
he's
question. Yeah,
private.
that's the other question to him. Have you
How's
been
he been
practicing
working?
architecture since you don't have a license?
Right, how's he practicing?
Well, and my other process question is, you're saying 6-month waiver. I mean, the renewals are annual, so like, even if he completed the 24 hours of license of continuing education by next week, when is DCP going to be able to give him his license back? Like, how quick is that? I don't even know what their process is. I think they do it rolling, but I'm not positive. And with the short staff stuff there, who knows?
Well, I will tell you that we've had a few instances of people that were waiting and waiting and waiting, and we've had to kind of intervene and get some people at DCP to get things processed because of that. But the short staff thing has become a huge issue at the state level, and not just for us, but for a lot of different boards and agencies. So that there's nothing we can do
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you how fast it can happen. So I
Right,
mean,
and
in
I think
theory,
the other thing
as
to
soon as he
keep in-
paid his back dues and did whatever we told him to do, he should be able to get his license immediately. So.
The other thing I think to keep in mind is since we have no idea how many credits he is behind, we're all making an assumption he hasn't done anything for that year. And he may have, so it may not be even as hard or difficult as we're thinking.
Right. So again, Gina, if I'm saying anything I'm not supposed to, I see you have your hand up. So
yeah.
I'm going to let you say what I was going to say. Go ahead.
I have, well, two things. One is, remember that the DCP time frame is different than what the AIA time frame is for credits. So it goes from May 1st to April 30th. That is DCP's timeline for credits. But the first year, they allowed it to go from January of 2021 to April of 2022 because they took in they add extra months into that. So there was even extra months in the process too. I also need to know if this person is if this is excused or whatever your decision is going to be, because he cannot use AIA after his name if he is not a licensed architect. That is a requirement. And 3 is, I'd like to know what the difference is between when you go on the licensing, the e-license site, and you look up someone for licensing, one says lapsed, others say terminated. What is the difference? At what point is are they lapsed when they haven't done it within a year? Is it terminated after a certain time? I think that's also important for you all to know, because if they're lapsed, then it should be a quick decision as far as getting them, licensed, like their license renewal back up again. If they're terminated, then I think they have to go through a different process to get their license again. So I wanted to bring that up because there's times where we have looked up people and we're like, okay, this person's saying lapsed, this person's saying terminated. Oh, other times it also says inactive.
Right. That's what his says.
Okay. So if it's inactive, I think his should go back quickly, but again, I would just ask that. And because I'm part of this and I'm made and it's public knowledge, I would also have to reach out to him to let him know that once that whatever decision that you make. Lastly is Bob Kudzmich had told me, I had asked a specific question that there is no carryover of credits for the licensing at the state. So I mean, as far as the credits, AIA does do that. So if you do more credits, it carries over to the next year. The state is not doing that. There is a link he sent me that is specific. I'm sure you have it too for the regulations, and it spells everything out about this except the fee, except what the fines are.
I'll see if I can find out the answer to that question, Gina, about the lapsed, inactive, and terminated. I haven't seen one that I've looked up that said terminated, but because to be terminated, I would think there's got to be a violation, but in any case, I'll see if I can find out the answer to that question. So thank you. All right. So any other comments on this, and or can we make a decision? I guess we have to vote whatever the decision is. So my recommendation.
I think the decision is more information. So that I don't think we need to vote on a more information. We're not going to make a decision because we'd like to know how many credits he has.
Fine.
Left.
So I'll
is that the only question we have?
Well, how many credits he has he been practicing architecture, and a little bit more information about why he hasn't done CEUs when you could do them virtually.
Right. That would be great. And then I guess at the March meeting we can.
Right. So I'm
vote.
through, and I sent Jason an email last night, but I know he's out of the office for a few days, and I'm going to send Mike Elliott and because he's in charge of the licensing boards. I'll send Mike Elliott an email this morning because he emailed him on something else and ask him if he can reach out to Phil Ross for us. So, okay. So we'll keep that in abeyance till the next meeting. Okay. So the following candidates have passed the ARE and are recommended for licensing as architects. I'm sure I'm going to get some of these names wrong, but Liang Yu, Deanna Lancer, Katie Lau, and Matthew Lee. Do I have a motion to approve these for licensure in Connecticut?
Motion to approve.
Second, Angela.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so they're approved. I don't know, Jennifer, do you know if any of these people are on? I don't see anybody on except for us, so.
Yeah, there's a Manny as an attendee, and then there's someone dialed in for the phone. I don't know if you want me to allow them to talk and see who it is.
We can allow, we know Manny, and you can allow the other person to talk if it's one of, I would want to know who the person is. Yes, please do, because I have a feeling it's somebody who I don't want to talk.
Okay. Ask them to mute. 1 second. Hi, whoever's dialed in, can you tell me your name? It's a 203 number.
Okay,
I asked them to
that's fine.
unmute. Oh, here they are.
Guys, I'm sorry about the fright. It's just me. It's Manny. I've got you on the phone and I'm watching you.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, hi, Manny. All right, so okay, so those four are approved. None of them are on. Applications for waiver of examination, they're all listed here. We don't need to do any action on them, just for your information. Corporate practice, again, they're all just listed for our information. Comments or concerns of any person. Manny, now that you're on, do you have anything do you want to add or say or comment on, or does anybody?
Not this time. Thank you, Phil.
Okay. Okay, so the other thing that I want to discuss, and we'll talk about what everybody wants to, is I'm sure you all saw the email that Gina sent yesterday about the legislation. That's been, Twig didn't see that either? Okay.
No, I didn't get that.
Okay. Luann, did you get it?
No.
Julia?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, I only sent it to AIA members.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because I don't, this was because it was from our government affairs and our lobbyists. I just sent it over
that's
to
fine.
them.
I'm sorry. I should have read through that. So here it is. So Gina, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about it, but I highlighted what you sent basically. And so so none of us, meaning Angela and I, are a little curious about how this is even happening without anybody coming to the licensing board, especially as Angela said last night, especially after we said to them when they changed our timeline for CEUs that we would appreciate it if they ran things by us. But So there's a proposed change. Am I right, Gina? And it's being
Yeah,
proposed
so
currently?
this is from DCP, and this is their proposals for this session, and this was in it.
Right. So I mean, the underlying part is what's being changed. I mean,
Correct.
right. So, I mean, just to give everybody kind of a quick overview, as an architect, you've always been allowed to call yourself an interior designer, practice interior design. You don't pay any fees. You don't have to abide by any additional requirements as long as you do all your AIA stuff, or as long as you do your DCP architect stuff, you're fine, and you call it. Essentially, they're trying to, in my mind, they're trying to find a way to just make some extra money here, and they're adding a couple of things in here that, as an architect licensed in the state, elects to maintain a separate interior designer credential, you must do their continuing ed in addition to yours and pay their fee in addition to yours. Personally, I don't really have a problem with it. I don't know what anybody's opinion is. Angela, Julia.
Right. So yeah, so you used to be able, it was kind of a running joke in firms that had an interior design department, because as a licensed architect, you could just call and get the interior design certificate too. And, you know, and be like, haha. So, and there was never a fee for it or anything like that. You would just get it. So I think with the advent of continuing education units, it probably caused the department to rethink, like, okay, should architects pay for this extra credential? Should they do CEUs or whatever? I don't have any problem with this draft language as written. The problem I do have is that, and this is actually the third time
the process
that they're going through a process without contacting the board. So I would like to, and I don't know who we ask, the commissioner, deputy commissioner, whatever. But so the first time was that we found out about was what you were talking about, Phil. And then the other time was when there was a tweak to the language that we had drafted about corporate license practice, right? They changed it after we had the meeting and never told us. So this is the third time now that they're proposing language or sending it through the process without contacting the board. And I just can't believe that they wouldn't. I mean, this is what we're in charge of. Why would they not contact us? And who is supposed to contact us?
Right. So I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, if I could add in, so the legislative wording or whatever, I don't think it's coming out of Paulette's office. It actually is coming out of, there is a separate person, another legal or lawyer that works for DCP that handles all of this. And I can't remember her name because did somebody who just
right. So Leslie O'Brien and Julianne Avalone handle these things. And those are the same people that did this in the past and didn't contact us. So, you know, again, we need to go to the commissioner, whoever it is, and try to understand the process. I mean, maybe they're in their right to do this. I have no idea, but where is the process spelled out?
And with anything though, so you know that even when there is any legislative change, it still has to go to committee. This isn't a given. I mean, this is why the lobbyists, they go through all the bills for us and they look and find anything that has to do with ours. And that's why it's sent over. If we have a problem with it, we have the opportunity to go be anti or pro on something and either write testimony or make public testimony on it. So in this case, even as an individual architect, anybody has the opportunity to say, I agree or disagree, or I don't,
right. You do, but I don't think the board, I mean, the general public would think that the board would have known about this and perhaps even drafted it, right? That's the impression the general public would make. I can't imagine the board coming back to these people at DCP and saying we disagree with it, right? So the process we had gone through about the CEUs is we actually sat down in a meeting. We had a whole, working session to draft the language. Loran did a lot of work. I mean, it was a whole process where we were involved. And then since then, with the tweak that they made to that, and then these other two incidents, I just don't understand why we're not being contacted.
It's simply the fact that we're not being advised of potential legislation that's impacting the area that we're supposed to be responsible for licensing.
No question about it.
I appreciate the fact that anybody can comment, but we don't even know what's going on. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we should absolutely be made aware of this, whether they wanted to get our opinions or not. They should at least be telling us about it.
But we should be able to talk with them about it because,
agreed.
Again, they have people drafting this. And as you know, legislation is always a sausage making process. They have people who are dealing with this who are not architects. The
Right.
reason why, you know, there are architects on the architect licensing boards, because you guys are intimately familiar with the
Well-
processes and understanding, you know, what it takes. So we can provide some useful insight
Right.
as well.
All right, well, I'll try to reach out to whoever I can reach out to and find out, you know, A, why we're not being involved, B, who can I talk to that's gonna make sure that we do get involved going forward, and, you know, and candidly, not having a, you know, anybody in charge of our board currently doesn't help, so, but I will chase this down too. I made a note of that, so, of
Thank you, Phil.
course. Does anybody else have anything?
Just
I
my
just wanted
little,
to mention-
with, sorry, just my little, and again, we can wait for this until we get a permanent MBE, but just making sure the consistency of the minutes and agendas are aligned with our, you know, the agenda item numbers, because it carries over from meeting to meeting, and also the, you know, the number of the meeting number.
And
But that's,
yeah,
Jennifer
I
did
let
a
it go
great
because
job.
Jennifer,
and-
Jennifer's just trying
Jennifer, we would
to
love
fill
to
in the
have you.
blanks right
Please-
now, so.
Please stay on and be our executive.
I just wanted to just mention again that on the 26th, we are having the a tour at UConn. I know I invited everyone. I know if you can't make it, I understand. We have only, I think there's only 3 or 4 of the new licensees out of the 18 that are attending in person. The rest have asked me just to send out their certificate. So I didn't know if you wanted those that can't attend, if you wanted to send some sort of statement, comment, or whatever that I can make at the event, because I'll be, you know, announcing everything prior to us doing the tour at the Gantt Science Center at UConn. So please email me something over. If you could get it to me by the 25th, it would be great, just to say this is, you know, from the chair or from, you know, whoever from each of the board members of the board. It would be a nice touch, I think.
Right, as you know,
Just
Gina,
do something now that says on behalf of the board, congratulations and welcome to the community or something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
just, I would just say write it up for me, because I don't remember Twig.
yeah,
Everything
I
is-
can
may
put,
not
I can put something
remember
together.
wording.
Yeah, because unfortunately, I'm gonna be in Los Angeles for an NCARB meeting, so I won't be at the event, but I will, I'll get you something before then, so. And then as far as Hawaii goes, it ends up that, Twig, I'm assuming it's okay for me to say that it ends
Of
up you're
course.
gonna not be able to make it, and, but as far as I know, Julia, Angela, and myself will be there, and Loran. Correct? I hope
Correct.
everybody's booked their flights and it'll be fun, so. All right, if nobody has anything else, let's get a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. It's Twig.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
guys.
Thank
See you in
you.
Hawaii.
See ya.
Bye.
Enjoy it.
All right, ciao.
Bye-bye.